Hello and welcome to the Infinite Potential Sports Mindset Podcast, the podcast that empowers athletes to unlock their mental strength and achieve peak performance in their chosen sport. I'm Isabel Tate, your host, and in today's episode, I am diving deep into the world of pre-performance routines. We'll explore how creating effective rituals can optimize your mindset and set you up for success in your sport. So, let's get started. Before we jump in, though, if you have been enjoying this podcast, and I really truly hope you have, and not only enjoying it, but getting a lot out of it, please take a moment to subscribe and leave a review. Even if you just hit the stars. I'm suggesting 5 stars. You do what you will. Your support helps me reach more audiences or a bigger audience, more athletes who can benefit from these mental strategies. And to be honest, not just athletes, but everybody in everyday life. Alrighty, now let's talk about pre-performance routines. Pre-performance routines are a series of tasks and task relevant thoughts and actions an athlete systematically engages in prior to performance execution. And yes, if you're watching this on YouTube, you will see I'm looking down. That's because I am a prepared podcast host and I write notes. And I haven't learnt it off by heart, sadly. So I will be looking down to check my notes. And that's just part of it. Anyway, these routines, they're crucial because they help create a sense of familiarity, hard word to say, and control, even in high pressure situations. And they're also something that you can use no matter where you are and no matter what level of pressure a situation is. It's always the same routine, which normalizes each event or game or race or whatever it is. They help to calm nerves, improve focus, and set the stage for your peak performance. Alrighty, now let's break down why pre-performance routines are so incredibly important. Consistency. They provide a sense of consistency in varying competitive environments. 2, focus. I should have said 1 before, but anyway. 2, focus. They help direct attention to task relevant cues and away from distractions, because you, as an athlete and even as a CEO, you know the distractions that are around, right? And how easy it is to get caught up in them. 3, emotional regulation. They can help manage anxiety and arousal levels, because sometimes you can get too highly strung, highly aroused for the event, and that can waste all your energy. 4, muscle memory. They can trigger automatic physical responses. So your body knows, right, we're getting ready and primed for hard physical exertion, and it knows to get itself ready. And 5, confidence. They can boost self-belief by reminding you, pardon me, of your preparation. Research in sports psychology has consistently shown the benefits of pre-performance routines. A study published in the Journal of Applied Sports Psychology found that golfers who used pre-shot routines performed better under pressure compared to those who didn't. Now, let's talk about how you can create an effective pre-performance routine. And remember, there's no one-size-fits-all approach. Your routine should be personalized to your needs and your preferences. So here are some key elements to consider when creating your pre-performance routine. Physical preparation, this is super important, and it might include a specific warm-up sequence, stretching or practice movements. All right, so before a race, a high stakes race, and I represented Australia 3 times at World Long Distance Mountain Running Championships. It's a hard one to remember. So, this was high pressure. I'd traveled from Australia overseas, leaving 2 young children behind with their dad. And, it was a lot of pressure on me. And I would have a specific warm-up routine, run easy for a couple of K, add in some strides, and doing the strides really up my heart rate, gave the body a glimpse, just a glimpse into the high intensity that would be required of it. Okay, and that's, so it was priming the body and also priming the mind and just reminding the body mind what was going to be required of me very soon. And so, some stretching I would do, sometimes a bit of dynamic stretching, I wasn't huge on dynamic stretching back then. As I've gotten older, it's more and more important. Um, and then also I would just, then get into the corral, because with running you have to get in a corral and wait a bit. So I would make sure that that's kind of when I would do my dynamic stretching. You just have to be careful because it can't be anything too dynamic or you're kicking the people next to you. But just some general movements and trying to chat in a friendly manner with other athletes. So really trying to keep it always the same at every race. Okay, so that's the actual when you're at the event. Mental preparation, number two, visualization. So even then on the start line, I would be visualizing how that start was going to go, how I wasn't going to burst out of the blocks and sprint past everyone and burn all my matches, but how I was going to really maintain control to give my best effort for every section of the race. Positive self-talk. So that's when you can just be repeating, I'd be saying, I'm an excellent runner. I am a fast runner. I am so ready for this, those kind of things. Or mindfulness exercises. I didn't need to do that so much. I really was in the moment. But if you're finding that your mind's trying to distract you and getting you off task, then maybe some mindfulness will help too. Three, emotional regulation, because this can be a really tricky start that feeling at the start of a game or a race. You can get quite anxious and frightened. Um, I was always wanting to do my best but scared also of the pain that I knew was ahead of me. So deep breathing exercises or listening to music can help manage those arousal levels and bring you back to a little bit more of an even keel. But once again, you need to have chosen that music and those to practice those breathing exercises beforehand. But I used to find deep breaths would really help. Four, focus cues. Develop specific cues to direct your attention where it needs to be. So that could be words, focus, as simple as that. Or just doing some of your dynamic stretches could be part of that focus cues. Five, timing. Your routine should be consistent in length and the order of activities. So, for me, it was always about half an hour out from the start. That's when I would, start the jogging and then move on to the strides and those sorts of things. So I was back ready to go within 10 minutes of the start or so, depending on how early they expected you to be there. All right, but you've got to make sure that you've practiced. As with anything, practice it in training. Make sure you've practiced it in training so you know exactly how long it's going to take. And then practice it, like I said, always in the same order. And that's the way that you set the body and mind up to know exactly what's coming next. All right, so let's break these down further and discuss how to implement them effectively. Physical preparation is about getting your body ready for performance. This might involve, like I said, a sequence of stretches, practice swings, or warm-up exercises. The key is consistency. By doing the same physical routine each time, you're sending a signal to your body that it's time to perform. Like I did, the 4 times 100-meter strides of really picking up the effort, not a sprint. I wasn't trying to rip my hamstring while my body wasn't quite warm enough, but a stride at a fast pace to just get ready. Mental preparation is equally crucial. Visualization is a powerful tool here. I even, like I've said before on this podcast, I use it at the start of my run. I did it this morning after I massaged my calf, because that's part of my pre-run routine these days. I sat there for a moment and I just closed my eyes and I visualized how the run was going to go, because I was doing a quality session, 1 and 2 minute intervals. And to be fair, though, I do it even with an easy run, because my easy runs to be good too. So I visualize my run before I do it, so that my body and mind is prepared. So take a few moments to mentally rehearse your performance, seeing yourself executing with perfect form and achieving your desired outcome. Like I said, I used to quietly visualize taking off in a measured way for the start, because I used to, when I first started racing, sprint off like a bat out of hell. And I have been known at that stage to like DNF a 10K, because I killed myself by going so hard, sub 4-minute Ks in the first couple of K. And that was at that point, I mean, I ended up doing it for 10K, but at that point, it was unsustainable for me to be doing 350-minute kilometers at the start of a 10K at that point in time. So I learned to, visualize holding back a little bit and really measuring out my energy correctly. See yourself executing with perfect form, okay? So running smoothly, throwing with strength and aim and all those sorts of things. Couple this with positive self-talk. Remind yourself of your strength and previous successes, which I'm sure there are many, whether in training or in competition. For emotional regulation, deep breathing exercises can be incredibly effective. A simple technique is box breathing. So, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, and repeat. Once again, you don't want to be doing this for the first time on competition or race day. Practice this in training, and that way you will get good at it. And it really does help calm your nerves. It really, it really calms your nerves and centers your focus. Focus cues are short phrases, like I said, focus, or words that direct your attention to the task at hand. For a basketball player, it might be follow through before a free throw. For a run, it could be smooth and strong before the start of a race. Whatever works for you. Timing is crucial. Like I said, your routine should be long enough to be effective, but not so long that it allows for doubt to creep in or, that you tire yourself out. Practice your routine to find the optimal length for you. For me, it was around 20 minutes. So let's address some of the common questions that I normally get about pre-performance routines. All right, how long should my routine be? This varies by individual and sport, but generally anywhere from 30 seconds to 5 minutes. But like I said, I used to do maybe not 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, because of course with running, it just takes a little bit longer because you've got to do a running warm-up. But the key is consistency. Whatever time you come up with, be consistent. Personally, I think 30 seconds is a bit short. I reckon even 5 minutes is. I would go 5 to 10 minutes, probably minimum. Because like even when I did bodybuilding, I would be out the back doing warm-up exercises and, practicing my poses and all that sort of stuff. So there was always something to do to get the body and mind ready for the performance. But like I said, consistency, whatever you end up with, practice that. And sometimes, when I say it should always be the same length, sometimes it'll be a little bit longer, sometimes a bit shorter, it all just depends, but around about the same length. What if my routine gets disrupted, which happens? Have a backup plan, because then what can happen is if it gets disrupted, people can freak out and go, oh my God, that's it. My whole event is screwed because my pre-performance routine is screwed. So no, just focus. There was a word I was looking for and I almost had it, but it's gone. Identify the core elements of your routine that you can do even in less than ideal circumstances. So, on the odd occasion, I'd get to races late. So I would shorten the warm up, but I would still always have those 4 times 100 meter strides. I just wouldn't do them quite as fast because I wouldn't have had as long to warm up into them. I remember one 1,500 meter race I hadn't been able to find the track. I got there so late. My warm up was running from the car to the start line in panic mode. And can I tell you, that race did not go well. Surprise, surprise. Not just because I didn't have the pre-performance routine happening, which therefore affected my mental ability, but my body wasn't warmed up enough. It just wasn't ready. All righty. So, but even if you get like just the core part of it in, can I change my routine? Yes, but do it gradually and during training or practice, not competition. Nothing new on competition day. Remember that? Your routine should evolve as you do. And like I said, it certainly does for me now. I need, being older, a bit of a longer routine. My routine now involves massaging my calf, or else it likes to play up. So like for the 100K race I did a few weeks ago, Ron spent 15 minutes massaging my calf. That was part of my pre-performance routine. And that's just the way it is. And that's why I'm saying your pre-performance routine is whatever length it takes for you to feel ready. Of course, not so long that you're exhausted, but massaging my calf or someone else doing it for me is not exhausting for me. Okay, a little bit painful, but not exhausting. Remember, the goal of a pre-performance routine is to get you into an optimal mental and physical state for performance. It's not about superstitions. It's not about, I've got to put my left sock on before my right, have to wear my lucky necklace. In saying that, when I raced worlds those 3 times, I did have a lucky necklace that I had to wear each time, right? And it did make me feel better. Whether it helped or not, I have no clue. In fact, probably didn't, because I didn't always, one of the times I didn't go very, 2 of the times I didn't go very well. So that's all right. But it's not a rigid adherence to a set of actions. That's why you've got to have a backup plan. If things don't go exactly your way within the pre-performance routine, if it gets cut short from time, you get called to the start earlier or whatever, you don't want to be so, oh my God, rigid on it that you freak out and don't do well because of that. It's about creating a process that consistently prepares you to perform your best. All right, so I want you to start developing your pre-performance routine, basically. So think about your sport and the moments leading up to the performance. What physical preparation do you need to do? What mental strategies could help you focus? How can you regulate your emotions effectively? Pause this and take a few seconds to jot down some ideas, some answers to those questions. Alrighty, so hopefully you paused and you're back with me. And what you've done is taken the first step in creating your personalized pre-performance routine. Now, I'd like to share a personal anecdote about the power of pre-performance routines. As well as running and bodybuilding, I also was a mountain biker. I struggled with consistency. Some days I'd perform well, others I'd fall apart under pressure. And I have to say, those two other races that I didn't perform so well in, I still did really well, just not as well as I wanted to. And it wasn't that I fell apart, it was that they just, I don't know, the races didn't suit my style of running. So, and that's hard because when you're racing overseas, you can't necessarily train on on a similar course. You can't train in the Austrian Alps when you're in Melbourne. Anyway, so some days as a mountain biker, I perform well. Others, I fell apart a lot under pressure at first. So I developed a routine that included a specific warm-up sequence followed by 2 minutes. So I'd ride the bike for a bit. I'd even have the ergo there and get the spare bike on that, and do some warm up on that. Then I would have 2 minutes of visualization, ending with some deep breathing and a focus cue. At first, it felt a bit forced, and I felt like a bit of a, twat. But anyway, and I just persisted, and I practiced it consistently, both in training and competition, and it became second nature. The impact was significant. Not only did my performance become more consistent, but I also felt more in control and confident, even in high pressure situations. Going through my routine helped me feel grounded and focused, because I also used to, with mountain biking, get nervous about the technical nature of the courses. So that visualization and focus cues really helped me to overcome that anxiety about that. One particularly memorable moment was during a national championship. The stakes were high for me, and I could feel the nerves building. But as I went through my routine, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. I was able to focus on what I needed to do rather than getting caught up in the pressure of the moment and worrying about what people would think of me, which was a big concern of mine back then. That day, I performed at my best and I won the race. This experience taught me that a pre-performance routine isn't just about the actions themselves, but about creating a mental state that allows you to access your skills and training when it matters the most. So, as I wrap up, let's summarize the key points from today's episode. Pre-performance routines provide consistency, improve focus, regulate emotions, and boost confidence. And believe you me, they do. Once you try them, you will know what I'm talking about. 2, effective routines include physical preparation, mental strategies, emotional regulation, and focus cues. 3, your routine should be personalized to your needs and consistent in timing and order. 4, practice your routine regularly. Don't just leave it for competition day. But, and practice it both in training and, say, at lower stakes competitions. 5, be flexible and willing to adjust your routine as you evolve as an athlete. I truly and strongly encourage you to start developing your pre-performance routine based on what I've discussed today. Experiment with different elements in your training sessions and refine it over time. Alrighty, so that's it for another episode packed with practical strategies. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss my next one, packed with practical strategies for dealing with competition. If you find value in today's episode, please share it with a fellow athlete who might benefit. Take a screenshot, tag me, Infinite Potential Coaching, and also don't forget to leave a review. It would make my day. Just make my day. But it also, and that's leaving it on the podcast platform. Like iTunes, not iTunes anymore, Apple Podcasts. Golly, I'm like old, aren't I? Spotify, that sort of thing. I think I'm only on Apple and Spotify. YouTube, too. And it really helps more athletes find this podcast. And I really want to help more athletes with these mental performance strategies. Alrighty, this is Isabel Tay from Infinite Potential Coaching and Sports Mindset Coaching, reminding you that your pre-performance routine is your personal launchpad to peak performance. Until next time, keep pushing your limits and unlocking your infinite potential. Thank you so much for joining me today.